Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama
Hare
Ram
Rama Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare Rama
Hare
Ram
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram
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 Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Rama Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Rama Ram Ram Krishna Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare Hare Rama Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Ram
Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Hare
Krishna Hare
Rama Hare
Ram
Hare Krishna
Ram Ram
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama
Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Rama
Ram
Hare Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Hare Rama
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare
Ram Ram Hare Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare Rama
Hare Hare
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Hare Rama
Hare Ram Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Hare
Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama
Ram Hare
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 Krishna
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 Hare
Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Rama
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare
Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama
Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Rama
Krishna
Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare Rama
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Ram Ram Hare
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 Krishna Hare Krishna Ram 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 Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Ram Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram 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 Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare
Ram Ram
Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Hare
Ram Hare Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna
Ram 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 Hare Krishna
Hare Hare
Ram Hare
Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Ram
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram
Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Krishna
Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare Rama
Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare Rama
Ram Ram Ram
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Ram
Rama Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Krishna Ram 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 Ram
Hare Rama
Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Ram 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 Krishna Krishna Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Ram 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 Hare Ram Ram Krishna Krishna Ram 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 Hare Krishna Rama Rama Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Rama 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 Krishna Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Rama
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Hare Rama
Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Rama
Hare
Rama
Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Rama
Krishna
Rama
Krishna Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Rama
Krishna
Rama
Krishna
Rama
Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Rama
Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Hare
Rama
Krishna
Rama
Krishna
Hare
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 Hare Rama
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Rama
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare Rama Ram 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Ram
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Ram
Ram
Hare
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 Krishna Krishna
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare Hare Rama
Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare Ram
Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Hare Rama Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarobhyasya kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, assembled devotees ki jai. Thank you everyone for joining and chatting so beautifully. May I know who all are there on the call?
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. This is Indulekha Karuna Devi Dasi from Lincoln.
Hare Krishna. Indulekha Karuna Mataji. Dhanavad Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining every day and giving us sweet association. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna Balaji, this is Balavrinda.
Hare Krishna Balavrinda. Welcome to the call. Thank you for joining in.
Hare Krishna Vinita Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Srila Prabhupada, this is Preeti Vilasini Devidasi from Atlanta. Thank you Mataji for your warm welcoming and thanks to everyone for the beautiful chanting.
Hare Krishna Preeti Vilasini Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining and giving us sweet association and all glories to your service.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, glories to Sri Guru, and glories to all the assembled devotees. This is Shashidhar joining from Texas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Shashidhar Prabhu, thank you so much for joining in and chanting so beautifully every mid-morning. All glories to your service. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Sorry. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna Ishmati Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining and giving your sweet association. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna.
Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna Vinita, this is Sukhsagari. Dhanavad pranams to all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Sukhasagari Mataji, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your association. Welcome to the call. So we will start the recording. So as usual, we will read Srila Prabhupada quote. So today is November 23rd. There is only one Guru, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So those who simply repeat his words, they always become Guru. But of course, a Guru never thinks himself as being God. He only thinks himself as the servant of the servant. Letter to Mr. and Mrs. Bhati, yeah, November 23rd, 1975. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Once again, welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Haridas Varya Prabhu to enlighten us on the topic of Caitanya Bhagavata Adi khanda, chapter 14, 42 to 48 verse. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your valuable time and association. Welcome to the call. We couldn't hear you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Okay. So first and foremost, thank you so much for everyone for assembling here to dive into the nectarian pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. It is a very great fortune for me to be here amongst all of you who are constant reciters, constant audience in the classes of Caitanya Bhagavat. It gives me an immense opportunity to present from the pages of our Shastras the divine nectar of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. So I consider this a great fortune, and I thank each and every one of you for kindly taking out the time today. There is so many things in the world happening as we speak, and you have taken your precious time out to hear about the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I am indebted to each and every one of you. So today we're going to see another nectarian pastime. Every verse is a pastime. And we're going to see today how Srimati Lakshmi Priya, who is the first wife of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how she served Mahaprabhu and what was her daily schedule. And we will also try to see how she served Mahaprabhu. She actually sets a very great example for us to move and to meditate of how we should worship the Lord. So without further ado, starting with the Mangalacharan, we will see today's verses. The verses are simple but deep enough, potent with content. We will try to churn them as per the purports of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Om Ajnanathimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsham Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Reading from Caitanya Bhagavat, chapter 14, Adi Khanda, text number 42. Gandha Pushpa Dhupa Deepa Suvasita Jala Ishvara Pujara Saja Karena Sakala. So here, translation, she arranged, she stands for Lakshmi Priya Mata. She arranged sandalwood paste, flowers, incense, ghee lamps, and scented water for the worship of Lord Vishnu. Commentary. Following the scriptural and social norms of that time, every Bengali Brahmana's wife would collect ingredients like sandalwood paste, flowers, ghee lamp, incense, and scented water for the worship of Narayana. But nowadays, in some provinces of India, the Brahmanas hailing from Bengal, Brahmana communities do not accept water touched or brought by their own wives for the service of the Lord. Hare Krishna. So, a very beautiful mention of the paraphernalia and the articles that were collected by Lakshmi Mata, Lakshmi Devi, wife of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to worship Lord Vishnu. So, for any worship that has to be performed, it is very imperative that appropriate paraphernalia be arranged. In fact, in the southern part of India, there is a very nice story about a great singer called as Tyagaraja. This singer, Tyagaraja, his favorite deity or his Ishtadev was Lord Ramchandra. He used to sing many glories about Lord Ramchandra. He was expert in Carnatic music. He will compose excellent lyrics and bhajans, and he would sing day and night with his veena. He would sit and constantly engage in kirtan. And he would constantly sing with a lot of awe, reverence, bhava. He would sing with a lot of mellow in his heart. He would sing when Lord Ramchandra's darshan would be possible. In fact, some of his compositions would be to ask direct questions of when Lord Ramchandra will be visible in front of his eyes. So deep used to be his emotions, and he used to outpour his emotions into his bhajans, his kirtis, which is called as Tyagaraja kirtis, that even today it is sung far and wide across the world. But the most beautiful pastime with him that happened was that every day he would ask, "Oh Lord, when will you come in front of my eyes? Oh Lord Ramchandra, oh King of Ayodhya, oh the husband of fortune, goddess of fortune, when will you show yourself in front of me?" All while this was happening, his wife would painstakingly take care of the paraphernalia of his deities. She would ensure that the paraphernalia plate is always resplendent with all these beautiful items. She would pluck the freshest flowers. She would bring the best water from the wells. She would sprinkle them with rose water. She would ensure that the water becomes scented. She would light the ghee lamps. She would prepare the wicks a day before. She would bring sandalwood paste, and she would keep this Aarti paraphernalia plate ready. That used to be her service. And she would then give it to Tyagaraja, saying that, why don't you offer this to Lord Ramchandra? So while all this paraphernalia is ready, he will offer this to Lord Ramchandra. So much so that because of his devotion and because of his outpouring of his devotion, Lord Ramchandra was completely moved and he decided to pay a visit to Tyagaraja. But Lord Ramchandra is very clear on one thing. In fact, Lord promises that he is more favorable to those who are the servant to the servant. Tava bhrittasya 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 itimam smaram lokanata, says Kulashekara Alvar in Mukunda Mala Stotra. One has to be servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. Gopi Padakamalayor Das Anudas Anudas Anudas. So while his wife was a humble menial servant of her husband, Tyagaraja, who was constantly engaged in worshipping Lord Ramchandra, when he was singing with his eyes closed, beautifully playing the veena and singing the ragas and the kirtis of the Carnatic music, and tears were flowing from his eyes, expecting when would Lord Ramchandra arrive, there was a knock on the door. And when his wife didn't want Tyagaraja to be broken from the spasm or broken from the beautiful ecstasy that he was facing with the music, she opened the door. She saw Lord Ramchandra, Lakshman and Sita giving a very beautiful darshan. Now, the most important part is the first darshan was received by the wife, not by Tyagaraja. Why? Because she was engaged in worshipping the Lord. She used the same Aarti paraphernalia plate and she worshipped the Lord. Thus goes the legend. So we see that simple acts of service towards their lordships is also not forgotten by the Lord. The Lord ensures that one who prepares the Aarti plate, one who collects the paraphernalia, one who plucks the flowers, all are rewarded with pure devotional service. This is the greatness of the Lord. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Krishna just asks for these menial things. He doesn't want big offerings. He doesn't want big gold, silver items. He just wants menial things. Pushpam, he accepted the simple offering of Gajendra, which is a lotus flower. And that lotus flower was not the only reason. That was the medium of offering, a gift to Lord Krishna. But behind that was Gajendra's prayers. And that is Bhaktya Prayachati. So Patram Pushpam. Gajendra offered the Pushpa. But behind that, Gajendra had the intense feeling of I'm calling out for the Lord. That is Bhaktya. That is Bhakti. And when the Lord heard that in Vaikunta, he immediately jumped from his Vyasasan, from his asan, sorry. And when he jumped from his asan, Mother Lakshmi asked, where are you going? He was so quick in moving towards the place where Gajendra was being caught by the crocodile. He was traveling so fast that even Garuda was startled. Even he was not given a heads up that now the Lord would start and he has to carry him. In fact, the Lord started at a faster pace than Garuda, that Garuda had to catch up with his pace. We constantly think that Garuda is very quick and very swift across the air. But at this occasion, the Lord was traveling more swifter, more faster more quicker than Garuda in itself. And Garuda was panting, and Garuda could not keep up. And while the Lord was traveling so fast, his uttari, his anga vastra started falling down on the ground. Mother Lakshmi started to pick it up, and she asked, "My dear husband, where are you running?" It is said that the Lord was so quick that he said Gajam, but the Ga was heard in Vaikunta, jump. He just jumped in front of Gajendra. That before the word Gajam, he could not even speak the whole thing that Gajendra is in difficulty, I am going there. He didn't have time to speak all that. He just said Gajam. Ga was heard in Vaikunta. Jam. He jumped in front of Gajendra. Then behind him came Garuda panting. Behind Garuda came Sudarshan Chakra panting further, saying, "You didn't give me a heads up also." And the Lord already signaled the action of throwing the chakra, but the chakra was not coming because he was coming behind Garuda. And then there was a delay of 1 second, and then the chakra cut crocodile. So this is the Lord. He accepts simple offerings when they are given with lot of love. So here, lot of paraphernalias are being mentioned. First paraphernalia is sandalwood paste. Now, this is a very wonderful offering. In fact, in the Vedic custom, sandalwood paste mixed with tulsi, which we'll see in the next verse, is considered as a very great offering to the worship of Lord Narayan. Sandalwood paste cools the entire body and it gives a very favorable fragrance. But the question has to be asked, why can't this be some other paste? Why it has to be sandalwood paste? So this question I will ask the audience. Why do you think that only sandalwood paste is considered as one of the very auspicious offering? Why cannot other scented wood like aguru, that is another scented wood which is available, which is burnt as incense, or other woods which when rubbed with petals of flowers can bring out a good fragrant paste? Why it is not considered? Why sandalwood is considered? Any answer from the audience? Why do you think that the sandalwood paste would be the apt one? Yes, those who have the answer can definitely. Vinita Gandharvika Mataji says it cools the body. Somebody else has raised the hand. Please go ahead and.
Yeah, two things are coming to my mind. One is
Yes.
on to Vinita Gandharvika Mataji's point of cooling the body. The analogy once I've heard, once I've read from one of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's writings, is that just one drop of sandalwood, meaning a drop of sandalwood, when applied on the body, it spreads the cooling effect through the entire body, just like how the Atma stays in the heart, but the consciousness is perceived through the entire body. So it's a tremendous cooling effect. That is one thing that I've read. The second thing that is coming to my mind is that like sandalwood has to be rubbed and then the essence has to be extracted.
Right.
Like how we have to churn and bhakti, has to extract light to the Lord. So these two things are coming to my mind.
Very nice, Mataji. Very nice analogies. In fact, the second one Srila Prabhupada mentions in one of the lectures. And in fact, the second answer that you said, that sandalwood paste has to be put some effort and it has to be rubbed. But Srila Prabhupada makes a very beautiful analogy. He says sandalwood paste, however you rub it, whether you rub it horizontally, whether you rub it vertically, whether you rub it on a normal stone, whether you rub it on any surface, it will always give you the fragrance of sandalwood. And he compares this to Krishna consciousness. And he compares and he says, Krishna consciousness is like this. If you put some effort and rub Krishna consciousness to any aspect of life, be it even politics, be it even life, be it management, be it temple running, be it householder life, be it business, be it studies, be it education, be it research, any field of life, if you apply, if you rub, and if you apply this Krishna consciousness, it will bear its fruit and it will make it complete. And that is the quality of sandalwood paste. It will always give out a fragrant feeling. And this sandalwood paste is considered as one of the great ingredient for fragrances in the Vedic system. It is said that in the Malaya kingdom, which is Malaysia and others, this Malaya mountains, sandalwood is found. Srimad Bhagavatam says in the first canto, you are like the sandalwood which appears, O Krishna. So such comparisons are made because it's one of those unique nature's product which can be utilized directly in Krishna's service. Tune Kunti says this, yes, correct. So this is very unique, this sandalwood paste. And this is considered as one of the rich, auspicious offering to the Lord to cool down his body. And we have seen pastimes of how Madhavendra Puri and others were instructed to bring sandalwood paste to cool down the irritations or the heat on the body of the Lord. So this is very nice. We should also, for our deities, constantly provide these paraphernalias. The second one which is mentioned are flowers. Srila Prabhupada says 2-3 things about flowers. The last opulence which is left over in Kali Yuga, Srila Prabhupada says, are flowers. Flowers are also seen as smiles of Krishna. When Krishna smiles, you can see that smile in the flowers. This is what Srila Prabhupada mentions. And it's considered as one of the last remaining opulence in Kali Yuga. Incense, which is agarbatti, which is also very wonderful. It creates a very nice feeling. It changes the consciousness of the place. Once Srila Prabhupada, when he was welcomed in the Hyderabad temple, if I'm not wrong, there was a lot of incense which was lit, and the whole Prabhupada's quarters was lit and it had a lot of incense. And then one of the devotees, they asked Srila Prabhupada, what do you feel when you look at all this incense, which is constantly permeating across the different rooms? The fragrance is very divine. What do you feel, Srila Prabhupada? Do you feel it is nice? Do you feel it is quite overpowering, or do you find it repulsing? What do you feel? And Srila Prabhupada said, such nice incense reminds me of Vaikuntha. So in Vaikuntha, constantly incense is burning. And this incense is also mentioned in Valmiki Ramayana. How, in fact, the long shot of Ayodhya is being mentioned. The long camera shot of Ayodhya and a drone shot of Ayodhya is mentioned by Valmiki. And how does he mention? He mentions saying that if you look at Ayodhya as a kingdom from the top, you will find that it has got different thatched roofs of huts or homes made of different thatched roofs. And from every roof, there is some chimney, some smoke is coming. And it is primarily coming from the kitchen. And in the kitchen, there are various spices which are being added by the grihini or the wives who are cooking food for the Lord, for their deities. But at the same point of time, there are many Vipras and there are many Brahmanas who are staying in that house of Ayodhya. The Ayodhya Vasis are expert in Vedic sciences, so much so that they will sit on the pedestal outside their house and they will discuss about various aspects of Vedas, that Lord Ramchandra will enter into any house, sit at the pedestal and start learning about Vedic sciences, because every single house there used to be a Brahmana who used to recite Vedas. And these Brahmanas are also Agnihotris. So they will perform various different offerings and they will perform the samvits which will enter into the Yajna fire. And Valmiki says, if you take a drone shot, you will get this beautiful incense of the recipes which are being cooked in Ayodhya by the wives, and the yajna fire and the samvit and the spices which are going together, and they become the wonderful incense for Ayodhya Vasi Lord Ramchandra. So in this way, the poet Valmiki compares that how incense is offered every morning, every afternoon, and every evening from each house of Ayodhya. Ghee lamps, we recently had Diwali, and how so many, and Radha Damodar and Yashoda Damodar, ghee lamps are one of the best ways to welcome the Lord. And scented water. Water is scented either by camphor, or it is offered with the help of elaichi or cardamom. When it is crushed and put inside the water along with a little bit of camphor, it gives a very divine taste. Or it is even scented with rose and the essence of rose. So scented water, ghee lamps, incense, flowers, sandalwood paste, all these form a great worship of Lord Narayan. And this is very, very beautiful. And this creates and it permeates a positive consciousness. It helps all the senses of the body to constantly remember the Lord and worship the Lord. And generally, these are all put together to worship Lord Vishnu. And Lakshmi Priya Mata, she is also creating this plate. She's creating this plate with all these paraphernalias for worshipping Lord Vishnu. How does she do that? Because she sees that in every day in Vaikunta. She sees how the plates are arranged and how they worship in Vaikunta. So similarly, she sees here as well, she carries out her routine of worshipping Lord Gaura Rai, Lord Gaura Chandra, Nimai, and she would collect all these things to worship. Here Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that this is the standard that all Bengali wives used to do. In fact, even in the South Indian families, even in the morning, even in the northern part of India, western part of India, the traditional families, they continue this culture of arranging the Aarti paraphernalia plate. In fact, in one of the books of Gauranga Leelamrita, not for Lakshmi Priya Mata, but for Vishnu Priya Mata, it is very wonderfully mentioned that how she also, because now we are talking about Lakshmi Priya, then she will disappear, and then Lord Gaura Rai will marry again Vishnu Priya. And it is mentioned that how Vishnu Priya also used to get up in the morning, and with the help of Sachi Mata, she will create such a plate. So this kind of gives us an insight into Gauranga Mahaprabhu's house, how Sachi Mata has set the standard, that even if after the first wife, the second wife comes in, the standard remains the same. The worship of Lord Gaura Rai remains the same. The worship of Narayan remains the same. So in that Gauranga Leelamrita, written by Krishna Dasa, who is a disciple of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote in 11 seed forms the different ashtak, the 8 the Leelas of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and he further explained it in very beautiful verses in Bengali. So there he mentions that how these were also collected together by Vishnu Priya. So this seems to be the culture of the yesterday's past. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur notes, but nowadays, in some provinces of India, the Brahmanas hailing from Bengal do not accept water touched or brought by their own wives for the service of the Lord. Now, he doesn't give us the reason why. So we cannot jump to conclusion that some part of the Brahmanas were discriminating or they were doing an exploitation to their wives. We cannot conclude that because he doesn't give us the reason why. Because there could be certain reasons that if looking at the Suchi, Muchi period, looking at the culture, looking at the way the hygiene factors are maintained in the house, there could be some standards which could change here and there. But generally, through these verses, we get a glimpse 500 years back how the worship used to happen. But were these the only items that were available? No, text 43 gives us a further glimpse. Niravadi tulashira karena sevana tarodika sachira sevaya tanramana. She constantly served Tulsi or Tulasi, yet she served Sachi even more. Now, this is very important to notice. Commentary. The worshippers of Lord Vishnu greatly respect Tulsi Devi as one of the ingredients of Lord's service and therefore most intimate with the Lord. Lakshmi Priya Devi spent more time in serving her mother-in-law. Very important. Lakshmi Priya Devi spent more time in serving her mother-in-law. Gaura's mother than in serving Tulsi Devi. Those who pretend to be acharyas while holding a tulsi plant in one hand and a pipe for smoking intoxicants in the other should properly follow the ideal example of serving Tulsi Devi set by Gaura Lakshmi Priya Devi. And yet, knowing the Lord as the best of those devoted to their mothers, Lakshmi Priya Devi, the Lord's wife, established that her service with awe and reverence to her mother-in-law was superior to the affectionate service of Tulsi Devi, the maidservant of Gaura, and was non-different from service to her husband. This is a very, very powerful purport and commentary. Here, Lakshmi Priya Devi is showcasing two aspects of service. One, choosing those paraphernalias which are favorable to the Lord. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he mentions that Tulasi or Tulsi is one of the key ingredients or seen by the devotees of Vishnu as one of the key ingredients to worship Lord Vishnu. Because Tulsi is one of the key ingredients. She gives devotion. It is mentioned in one of the songs of Tulsi Devi. Tvam kirtayase satatva tantra vidbhir leela bhidana kila Krishna shakti tavaiva murtis tulasi nirloke vrinde namaste charanarvindam. Tvam kirtayase satvata tantra vidbhir. It says, those who are learned in the Satvata Tantra, is one of the Tantras, those who are learned in Satvata Tantra glorify you, Tulsi Maharani. Why do they glorify you? Leela Bhidana Kila Krishna Shakti. Leela Bhidana Kila Krishna Shakti. Because you are Krishna's pastime potency. You are Leela Bhidana. You are Krishna's pastime potency. You are not different from Krishna. And who worships you? Tavaiva Murtis Tulasi Nriloke. Nriloke. In the world of men, you are. The Tulasi plant is your form, Krishna. It is your form. And hence, Vrinde Namaste Charanaravindam. Hence, O Tulsi, I bow down. O Vrinde Devi, I bow down to your lotus feet. But by bowing down to your lotus feet, what do we get? O Tulsi Maharani, what do we get by why are people really worshipping Lord Vishnu or Krishna with the help of Tulsi? Because that is being also mentioned. Rasha Bhilasho Vasatischa Vrinda Vane Tvad Ishangri Saroja Seva Labhya Chapumsam Kripaya Tavaiva Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam. Rasa Bhilasho Vasatischa Vrinda. By your mercy, people attain the residence of Vrindavan. So only by the mercy of Tulsi Maharani, we attain the residence of Vrindavan. And we practically know this. Of the 5 entities who are required to give us permission to enter Vrindavan, It's Govardhan Hill. It's Tulsi Marani. It's the dust of Vrindavan. It is Gopeshwar Mahadev. And it is Yamuna Devi. Without the mercy of all these five personalities, one cannot gain residence of Vrindavan. So here it is said, Rasa Bilasho Vasatischa Vrinda. So with your mercy, we attain the residence of Vrindavan. Twad Ishangri Saroja Seva. But residing in Vrindavan, what do we earn for? We want to always serve your master's lotus feet. We want to serve Krishna's lotus feet. Labhya chapam sham kripaya tavaiva. And the desire, and while we constantly yearn for the desire to serve the lotus feet, we also yearn to serve or assist in the rasa dance. And all this is possible just by paying obeisances to Vrinde Devi. Vrinde numaste charanarabindam. So this is the greatness of Mother Vrinde Devi. She gives us such high position, and hence one should constantly worship Sri Tulsi Marani. So anybody who gives us the highest position, we should be engaged 24/7 in worshipping Tulsi Marani. But here Lakshmi Priya Devi is going one step further. She is worshipping her mother-in-law, who worships constantly Tulsi Marani. Now this is the mood. And she constantly worships her mother-in-law more. It is mentioned here. Yet she served Sachi even more. Now this is very important. Many times in our lives, we use the excuse of service and we neglect the people around us who are devotees, who needs to be served more. We take sides. Once, generally it is seen in householder lives, not generally in devotees' lives, but in karmis' lives, we see this. When I went to one house, they mentioned that how the mother of a friend of mine, she was mentioning about the story of Shravan Kumar. Now, Shravan Kumar is quite known in Ramayana of how he served his blind mother and father. So every mother hopes that her son is like Shravan Kumar, that at the time of old age, the son would very nicely serve me. Now, every woman wants her son. Every woman wants her son to be like Shravan Kumar, that during the old age, he would take care of her very nicely. But it was seen that there is one another fact that the modern karmi women, this is not for devotee women, this is for karmi women. Every woman wants her son to be Shravan Kumar so that when she becomes old, the son will take care. But please note this, the same lady does not want her husband to be Shravan Kumar to his parents. This is absolutely non-acceptable. This is duplicit standards. If a woman who is a mother expects her son to be like Shravan Kumar, taking care of them, then she should expect her husband, who is also son of some other lady, that is her mother-in-law, to be the Shravan Kumar to her mother-in-law. But even that is not seen in the modern world. In the devotee community, at least we can see a little bit, at least this concept does exist. But here, what Lakshmi Priya is setting the standard is even higher. She's not even thinking. She's saying, I do not know whether Gauranga Mahaprabhu would serve you or not, Mother Sachi, but I would serve you more than I would serve Tulsi Devi. Now, this is the highest standard. She's setting a standard which is not only high on the thought process, but on the executional plane as well. And we should always remember this. Any young women who are getting married, they should keep this as the standard of worshipping of taking care of mother-in-law. And of course, one has to choose a family which is Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, there is no point in the Vedic marriage or serving the mother-in-law who is not Krishna conscious. But we should give respect. Just because one is not Krishna conscious, to say that my mother-in-law is not Krishna conscious, so I would not give respect is incorrect. Because who knows? By us serving nicely, they can become a devotee. So of course, practical scenarios change for family per family, but this is the very high gold standard set by Lakshmi Priya Mata. So we'll see other verses. Lakshmi Charitra Dekhi Shri Gaura Sundara Mukhe Kichu Nabalena Santosha Antara. What happens if you serve the mother-in-law like this? What happens if one serves the mother-in-law like this? Seeing Lakshmi's behavior, Sri Gaurasundara did not comment, yet he was satisfied within. Now, many people will ask, how cruel of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Why can't he shower some appreciative words to his wife? She's serving so nicely, his mother-in-law. Why can't he say? Why can't he open his mouth and say that you served my mother very nicely? I'm very happy with you. Why can't he reciprocate in this way? This could be some of the questions when some of the modern people read. But one has to understand the cultural context of 500 years back. And one has to understand the depth of relationships. Generally, a couple is considered inferior if one has to physically show the act of love to each other. I repeat, generally, a couple is considered inferior in their relationship when both the parties or either of the parties in the couple have to exhibit physical relationship to showcase love towards each other. Somebody has to bring a flower or somebody has to execute every time a physical activity to showcase that they love each other or they respect each other or they are appreciative of each other. A higher standard is by words, they need to exhibit this fact again and again that they love each other or they respect each other or they are appreciative of each other. But the highest couple is considered those who don't express them in words, who don't express them in physical exhibition of activities. They just understand it by thoughts, by non-verbals. And this is how Gaurasundar and Lakshmi Priya were. Just looking at her actions, he was pleased. And understanding completely in the heart that Gaurasundara is pleased, Lakshmi Priya is pleased. There need not a physical activity or there need not be a appreciation quotient of words. I'm not saying that these should be completely negated. They can substitute, but it is considered the highest just by eyesight, just by eye glances. Each other, they understand the complete heart of each other. So looking at the greatest faith and the way eagerly she was serving Mother Sachi, rather than serving Tulsi Maharani, the Lord completely approved within his mind and he was completely satisfied. And why he did not outpour? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions, due to social injunctions. That means the culture during that time was not to be very explicit. This is not the culture nowadays. One has to be very explicit. In fact, there are days in the calendar where explicit mention of love towards each other as a couple has to be there. And if anniversaries are not remembered, if anniversaries are not celebrated, if birthdays are missed, then the couple feels that, oh, the love has reduced. This is not the way it was back then. The social injunctions were different. And he did not externally or publicly approve the actions of his wife. His non-duplicitous, heartfelt mercy on Lakshmi Devi was seen in her activities of serving the Lord and by collecting ingredients for Vishnu's worship, serving Tulsi. You see that if somebody is disappointed, they will stop their service. But here, Lakshmi Priya is increasing her service. That means she is getting bliss. She is getting the feedback from Gaurasundar. She is getting the feedback from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he is happy. And this is an ideal couple. And this is how the couple understand each other. Just by eye glances, they understand what needs to be done. So this is considered a very great science. And we see that Lakshmi Priya and Sri Gaurarai, they were together a great understanding couple. And how she used to serve further? Konadina Lakshmi Laya Prabhura Charana Vashiyatha Kena Pada Tale Anukshana. Some days Lakshmi would sit and hold Lord's feet for hours. This is her way of serving her husband. And she would remember the days, and she, in awe and reverence, in the mood of awe and reverence, she used to often exhibit the pastimes as a simple maid servant of Gaura. And she would take the Lord's feet on her lap and she will humbly massage the Lord's feet. She used to do this service as Mother Sita when Lord Ramchandra walked the whole day in the forest along with her. And when Lakshman used to walk in front, he used to ensure that all the thorns were removed. Still, when Lord Ramchandra and Mother Sita would walk, they would walk through the thorny bushes. Though the thorns were removed, they would still get some cuts, bruises by the thorns and by the grass and the dry grass and stones and pebbles. So Mother Lakshmi, Mother Sita, she would massage, she will hold the Lord's feet and she would give her full massage, just like how she used to do in Vaikuntha. And the same pastime we can see Lakshmi Priya Devi is doing to Gaura Rai. Adbhuta dekhe na sachi putra pada tale Mahajyotir Maya Agni Kunjashika Jwale. Mother Sachi sometimes saw brilliant effulgent flames emanating from the feet of her son. Sachi Mata, while she used to see that there were brilliant flames emanating from the feet of her son. Due to the influence of Gaur Narayan's affluences, Sachi Devi saw 5 effulgent flames of fire. Just as impersonalists, being unable to see the original form of the Lord, accept the effulgence emanating from the body of the Lord as his form and thus become astonished, seeing the most effulgent 5 flames of fire emanating from the Lord's feet, Sachi Devi understood that her son to be directly Lord Vishnu. And this serving of the lotus feet is the highest service, one of the highest service. Because the Lord's lotus feet is like the boat. The oars are the Harinam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is like that boat. Chaitanya Charitamrita is like that boat. And we souls, we can cross over the material ocean by holding firmly the lotus feet of the Lord. He is known as the Bhavat Potam. He is one of his lotus feet is considered as the boat across the material ocean. It's the umbrella under which all spirit souls can take residence. And it is not dry, it is full of opulence. And this is mentioned in this verse. The last 2 verses without commentary. Ponadina Maha Padma Ganda Sachi Ay Gare Dware Sarva Trapayena Antanai. So one day she will see 5 fires, and another day Mother Sachi smelled the fragrance of lotus flowers throughout the house. This is very, very nice. She would get the fragrance. And Hena Mate Lakshmi Narayana Navadvipe Kehanahi Sinena Achena Guda Rupe. And as Lakshmi and Narayana secretly lived in Navadvipa, they shared this relationship of Lakshmi Narayan, and they secretly lived in Navadvip. No one was able to recognize them. So in the other 2 verses, it is directly mentioned Sachi Mata, by seeing the 5 fires, she understood it is Vishnu. And then she suddenly smelled lotus flowers. So isn't it possible that she understood that it is Narayan who is living? But no, it is mentioned that as Lakshmi and Narayana together, they were secretly living in Navadvipa. No one was able to recognize. Individually, somebody would feel, oh, looking at Lakshmi Priya Devi, she looks like Mother Lakshmi. Or individually looking at Gaura Rai, one can understand that he looks like Lord Vishnu. But together, they are Lakshmi, Narayan, secretly living in Navadvip. This nobody could understand. Just they both relished in their hearts this awe and reverence and this wonderful way of worshipping and this wonderful way of, of, of serving each other and the wonderful way of assembling the various paraphernalias for the worship of the Lord. And we see this when we see this in the poems written by Narottam Das Thakur. In fact, in almost of his poems, he mentions how to worship the Lord. Kalindira kule keli kadambera vana ratana bedira upa bhusaboduija. In the forest, Kalindira Kula Kele, in the forest of small Kadamba trees on the bank of Yamuna, what will he do? Ratana Bedira Upa Bhosabo Duijana. I'll seat the divine couple, Duijana, Bhosabo. I'll make them seat on a throne made of brilliant jewels. Ratana Bedira. Okay, you will make them sit. What will you do? What will you bring as a paraphernalia? Gatiya malatir mala. Before that, Shama Gauri Ange Dibo Chandanera Ganda Chamara Dulabo Kabe Herimukha Chandra. Look at the paraphernalias. Shama Gauri Ange Dibo. I will anoint their dark and fair forms with what? Chandanera Ganda, with a sandalwood paste. And after sandalwood paste, to make you further cool down, I will fan them with a chamara whisk, with a yak tail, with the chamara. And then I will look at your moon-like faces. Okay, sandalwood paste. But then what else would you bring? Gatiya malatir mala. Dibo dohara gale adare tuliya dibo karpura tambure Radha Krishna prana mora jugala kishore. After stringing together garlands of malati flowers, I'll place them around their necks and I will offer tambula, which is scented with camphor, to their lotus mouth. So this is how Narottam Das Thakur is in his highest of ecstasies. He is praying that these are the scented and these are the paraphernalias that I will use to worship the Lord. So Lakshmi Priya assembling all these wonderful paraphernalias to worship the Lord and constantly engaging in the service and giving preference to serve the devotees over Mother Tulsi, serving her mother-in-law, pleases Gaura Rai. This puts the perfect setting of the Grihastha life. This puts the perfect example of Grihastha life, that how the wives should assist the husband, how the husband should assist the wife, how the love should flow between husband and wife, how each has to be appreciative enough of each other's service, how the extended family comes together and sees the beautiful services of the devotees, and how each one of them, not by words, not by physical activities, but just by looking at each other and their sincerity and their devotion and their one steadfastness to please the Lord, everyone becomes happy. This is the gold standard that Lakshmi Priya Mata is setting up for us today. And this gives us a very beautiful glimpse into the householder life on a daily activity of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Sri Lakshmi Priya Mata. So thank you everyone for your constant listening and enabling me to speak some words and trying to elucidate the verses that were available today. I thank each one of you for your patience, and I thank the organizers for inviting me to speak on this subject matter. I'm very grateful for you all to give me an opportunity. If there are any mistakes, comments, feedbacks, questions, you are more than free to ask. Yadastras kalitam kinchit vidvam satpurayantu tat yadastat saushtubam kinchit tad guru revame nahi. If there are any mistakes, if there are any feedbacks, then you are all senior to me and you are all vidwans. You can please correct them. And if there are anything that you felt was incorrect, or sorry, anything that you felt was nice and which is good to take home, those glorifications go to my spiritual master and the acharyas and not to me. Jai Srila Prabhupada, thank you very, very much. Hare Krishna. Open to questions.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for beautiful class. We have 2 raised hands. We will take first Priti Vilasni Mataji. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for such
Hare
a
Krishna.
beautiful meditative class. And by the divine arrangement of Lakshmi Priya Devi, you oftentimes get the topic of glorifying Mother Lakshmi. I was So I always like to hear from you because you have such lovely realizations. So Prabhu, my question may not be like an important thing for everyone to know, but I was still curious as to what the Pancha Agni is. Is there any details on what it is?
I am completely not sure. It's in the Vedas. It's mentioned the 5 Agnis, and those who do the Agnihotris, they know the 5 Agnis: the fire in the belly, the fire, the cosmic fire. But I really need to look into it, Mataji. I'm not aware. If anybody else is aware, they can completely share about it. Let us know. But I'm not aware of the 5 Agnis, Mataji.
Yeah, this is good, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Megha Mataji, please go ahead with your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble
Krishna.
obeisances. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. I just wanted to say such a wonderful class. You gave up, you gave out so many different points of, in the pastimes of Lakshmi Priya and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how, the service should be with each other as husband and wife, and how the paraphernalia of the arti is, and how the wife should be, how she should serve the husband. I just found it so beautiful and it really touched my heart. One question that I have, Prabhu, is that, you did mention this somewhat, every household has a different situation, I guess, but in general, what to do if, if one person is a devotee and one person is, a devotee, but not really a devotee. I don't know how to explain that really well, but like, close to being a devotee, I guess, they're chanting, but they still cannot give up the association of non-devotees and, may do may break those 4 regulative principles from time to time. Even though, they can be chanting, but they're not initiated or anything. They don't want to get initiated. So in those cases, like, and wife or someone, is wanting to get initiated and following everything, how should the service be for in that kind of instance? Like, should I guess as a wife, should she serve her husband because there's these different things in, our regulative principles that that maybe what's the better, I guess, what's the important dharma for a wife? Is it serving the husband, obviously not in doing wrong things, but something that is supposed to be the thing, right? So in those instances, what is the dharma of a wife? I don't know if you got my question, Prabhu.
Yeah. In a gist, I did.
Okay.
In a gist, it's a very good question. That love and faith is a 2-way street. It's never a 1-way street. It's a 2-way street. So when it is a 2-way street, there needs to be reciprocations from both ends. However, if the reciprocations are minimal from the other end, or absolutely zero, or are totally opposite to our likes or our interest to go towards Krishna, does not mean that we don't walk on that street. We still exhibit and we never lose hope. So my short answer is that in case if you find either a husband or a mother-in-law or a brother-in-law or a father or a mother who are not exhibiting that kind of interest that you expect them to exhibit in Krishna consciousness, and you are putting your efforts, but you are not finding them reciprocating in that way, your role should be to constantly find avenues to give Krishna, either as prasad, either as arti, either as invitations, and see opportunities to give Krishna through others. Sometimes familiarity breeds contempt. They know you inside out, they know your frailties, they know the frailties of people around them, and they see mistakes, and they don't keep them as at the highest pedestal to take instructions or get inspired by. So sometimes we should make them meet other devotees and they should give Krishna to them. But our role is to bridge that and be just a conduit, just a catalyst. And that effort should continue. But that effort can only continue if you do not lose one thing, that's respect. Respect that individual soul has the individual tiny independence to either see towards Krishna or not. Respect that. And while respecting, humbly give them opportunity. Sometimes they might not, sometimes they may negate, sometimes they may disrespect. But please know that our efforts is like of a sage who went to take bath in a river and he saw a scorpion drowning. And when he saw the scorpion drowning, out of compassion, he will pick up the scorpion and try to throw it on the shore. And the scorpion, being in its nature, will sting. And he has to drop it back in the water. But then he has still compassion. He will still try to pick it up. The scorpion will sting again. Now one can say, you are a foolish sage. Why are you picking it up again? Why don't you leave it? But the sage would say, the scorpion's nature is to bite. It's doing its nature. I have to do my nature, which is to be compassionate. And one fine time when it picks up, the scorpion has stung already twice. The third time, before that he throws onto the shore, it's saved. But you have got 2 stings that Krishna will take care. So Krishna notices. And that's why he says in Bhagavad Gita, those who preach this message of mine, makes it reachable to everyone, the one who gives Krishna to everyone, he is more favorable to me. We are interested in that position. So if people are favorable or unfavorable, protecting yourself, you have to constantly give Krishna and respect them. But if they are constantly disrespecting you and it is spoiling your consciousness, you should find people in your family who are influential enough to talk to them. This would be the practical, some of the suggestions that I can give.
Yeah, very, very nice, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Thank you.
as trying to be the mediator between, trying to invite devotees to help connect. I guess that's the most important thing. But sometimes even that gets a little hesitancy, from the opposite side. So I feel like it's constant, as you said, it's constant effort. So thank you so much for being.
Yeah, the constant bickering and the constant effort mismatch is only on the level of our desire. I constantly get this question from young couples when they marry. They feel their mother-in-laws are very harsh at them, and sometimes the mother-in-laws walk up and they say that the newly wedded wife is not serving my son like how she should serve. And that's where the husband's role comes inside, right? No, the mother has an expectation that her son should be taken care like the way she takes care of him, because that's out of full love.
Right.
But the mother has to understand that the son married a girl not as another mother. He doesn't want another mother. He wants a wife. A wife is different from a mother. But the wife has to understand that what are the likes and the dislikes of the son, which is exhibited by the mother. So she understands the likes and dislikes from the mother-in-law to serve the husband in that way, but she exhibits her natural abilities, which is appreciated by the husband, because the husband doesn't want another mother. The husband wants another wife, right? So if the husband fails in his duty to set this record straight to the mother-in-law that, look, mom, I like the way you serve me, and there's nobody on planet Earth who can serve me like you. She gets immediately pleased. At least a normal mother would, right? But your daughter-in-law is not another version of you. She is a daughter-in-law. I want a wife. So she will learn the art, but let her serve the way. Then there is amicability, but that has to come through maturity of Krishna consciousness. Everyone has to play a role. But still you will find, I'm being practical enough, sorry to speak very practically here. Still you will find practically when the wife, after learning all the traits of how a mother serves a husband, how a mother serves her son, she executed in the same specific way. She executes it in the same specific way. And the mother-in-law says, you should have done it like this. And she feels, why? I just did it exactly the way you wanted me to say. And if she now outpours herself, her desire is to say, I did it the same way, now don't stop telling me, then the whole world crumbles. At that point of time, it's a dog and pony show. The husband looks at the wife and says to her mother, you did a very nice job by correcting her. And the wife looks at the husband and smiles. She knows that the husband doesn't mean it. The husband has said it for the mother-in-law, and the wife understands that he still loves me. This is a superior relationship. The words are totally polar opposite to what is being said. Everyone's heart is pleased. It's not duplicit, by the way. It's a reality. But one needs to have that maturity you have to handle. I hope that answers some of the day-to-day fights.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megha Mataji, for wonderful question, and thank you, Prabhu, for wonderful answer. I will definitely clip out this portion for myself. Yes. Thank you so much. Pooja Mataji, please go ahead with your question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, my question is that what does the Krishna wants from us so that he will bring us back to his place, back to Godhead, and allow us to serve him, his lotus feet. So, as in Gita, Krishna says that just surrender unto me. Yeah. What is the meaning of surrender exactly, Prabhuji, here? Surrendered our stubborn habits, or what is the meaning of exactly the surrender? Surrender.
Yeah. So there are 6 limbs of surrender. Of course, I won't go into all of those. But in short, what Krishna expects out of us is to love him. And by our body, mind, and words, engage in his service. Constantly believe that he is the only sole protector and there's nobody else who can protect us. Engage all our senses in glorifying him, in executing his service. In short, he is only expecting our love. He doesn't want our money. He doesn't want our words. But if the words are laid with love, are imbued with love, that he accepts. So Krishna is interested in loving reciprocation with spirit soul. That is the constitutional position of the spirit soul, to render service and to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is what is expected. And how do we do that? By chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. By chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We are glorifying the Lord and we are addressing the Lord to engage us in His service so that He can bestow His mercy upon us. And this is what pleases Him the most. Of course, there are 6 limbs of surrender and things like that, which I don't want to go into right now. What is definition of surrender and all of that we can take up some other time. Does that answer, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Dandavad Pranam.
Thank you. Dandavad Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Once again, very, very beautiful class and nice question and answer session. Is there anybody having any more last questions? Please go ahead. There are that realizations. Yashmati Mataji saying beautiful class and Lalitangi Mataji saying wonderful class. Yeah, Jaya Mataji also is saying wonderful class, Prabhuji. So everybody likes the class. Thank you so much. Your class is always wonderful, Prabhu. So if there are no more questions, we can end the call here. I would like to offer my obeisances to you and all the Vaishnavas assembled on the call. Vancha kalpatarobhyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Haridas Varya Prabhuji ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Very, very beautiful class.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
And
Krishna.
very, very nice answer you gave.
Krishna. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mataji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.